Hey, this is Peter from Accoil. Today we are looking at activation inside of Accoil. And before we get into the product itself, I just want to define how we're thinking about activation here. So activation is a set of events, activities inside your product that you want to make sure that your customers, your individual users, and your account level customers are doing in your product. I like to think of them as foundational activities that make sure that, if a customer is doing these things in my product, I have a pretty high confidence that they're going to get value from the product itself. So the way that you set this up here inside of Accoil is you define at both a user and an account level what those activation criteria are. It could be a mix of things like how often they come into the product. So frequency, are they using features? You can do things like using a feature ever. A form builder has been used at least once. The automation has been set up at least once. And you can do things like active percentage of users is greater than 25%. So you can see here that some of these things are static, right? They've done it one time, or in the case of this active user percentage here, this might be something that they slip into or out of. So that's something that you can start to track here as well. And looking at the individual user here, we start to get a bit more playful. And I think this is a really cool way of looking at activation is, have they activated over time, but also are they currently activated? I like to think of activation as more than just a point in time. It is an ongoing pursuit, right? If we own a product, we want to make sure that our customers stay engaged and stay activated with the product. So what we've done here is frequency. They've been in the product 8 out of the last 30 days. Let's say they've used some of these features at least once since they signed up. And now towards the bottom here, we're getting into, and you'll see I've used this user feature form builder twice here. Once, I just want to make sure that they've at least seen it and used it one time ever in their life as a customer. But I also want to know, in this last scoring period, have they gone back into that form builder? That'll indicate to me whether or not they are still using these key features and they are continuing to be, on an ongoing basis, activated. So if we come back here and look at this activation dashboard, you can start to see how many customers fall into each one of these sort of activation thresholds. You get a breakdown of features that have occurred over time, and you can start to see individual users stack ranked here by activation, and you get a sense of how well they're doing. And of course, you can look at this account level dashboard here as well and see how the accounts are going. I've gone into an individual company or account page here. So this is Virtualization Yard. And I just want to understand over time, how is Virtualization Yard doing with their activation? Now, you can see here that at an account level, company level, they are 100% activated, which is great. And at the account level, what that means is their users collectively have used all of those features or taken those actions inside the product. But if we scroll down here and look at their users who are starting to slip off, like they are starting to lose their engagement scores, just dropping off here. But if we start to understand why by looking at individual users, let's look at Janice. These are all fictitious names, by the way. You can see that Janice has actually not used automation, conditional logic, data connection, the form builder, etc., within this past scoring period here. So there's some critical indicators here about how well Janice, as a potential power user at Virtualization Yard, how is she going with the product? And it looks like she hasn't actually gotten to use some of the features that really set her up for success with this product. So what are we going to do about that? You can start by looking for these signals. Now that you know that Janice at Virtualization Yard hasn't really gotten activated, she looks like she might be one of the power users, or used to be if we look at her engagement score over time here. What are we going to do now? We can reach out to Janice. We can set up in-app messages. We can send a notification through automation off to an account manager or a CS teammate within the company to say, hey, time to give Janice a call. She has slipped off. Her activation numbers are dropping. This might be an account that needs rescuing.